The sun was brutal that afternoon, hanging over the flat Texas sky like a brand new penny. The air shimmered above the asphalt, and my old pickup rattled as I turned down the dusty road toward Cedar Creek Lake. From the hilltop, I could already see my cabin white porch, faded blue trim, the same swing my granddad built when I was 12. But something was wrong. There was movement on the porch, the slow back and forth sway of that swing. A stranger sat there, barefoot, shirtless, sipping sweet tea like he'd been born there. A Bluetooth bud in one ear, the other hand holding his phone sideways for a selfie with my lake behind him. I slammed the truck door so hard the dust rose in clouds. He turned lazily, eyes hidden behind aviators. "You must be the neighbor," he said with a half grin. "I'm Travis. This is my place now." My blood went cold. "Your place?" He stood, stretching like he just woke from a nap. HOA president told me the cabin was reassigned, said it was abandoned, unclaimed. My mom handled the paperwork. "Your mom?" I asked, but I already knew the name before it left my mouth. "Karen Dwyer," he said proudly, like it was a badge of honor. The world seemed to tilt. That woman again. The same Karen who fined me for keeping my firewood too close to the porch last year, the same one who measured everyone's lawns with a tape measure. And now she'd handed my family cabin, my father's blood and sweat to her son, like a birthday gift. "Get off my swing," I said quietly, walking up the steps. He didn't move. "I got HOA authorization, mister. This cabin's part of Cedar Creek Association now. Paperwork's clean." "Clean, huh?" I stepped closer until we were face to face. "Then you won't mind showing me that paperwork before I toss you off my porch?" He laughed. Actually laughed. That lazy, condescending Texas drawl that made every word sound like mockery. "You old-timers get so emotional. Chill out, man. We're all community here." Community. That word snapped something inside me. The swing creaked in the wind behind him, my granddad's swing, and for a second, I saw my father sanding those boards, saw the initials carved in the armrest. I took a deep breath, turned around, and walked back to my truck without another word. 3 hours later, a flatbed truck rolled up. Fencing supplies, black steel posts. 2 hired hands with work gloves and a diesel auger. "We're building?" one asked. "Yeah," I said. "We're building a fence. Not a white picket one, a wall of iron." By sunset, the clanging echoed across the lake, every post hammered deeper than the last, lining the property edge and slicing straight down the dirt road that led to the HOA office. Dust and metal shavings filled the air. That's when I heard her voice sharp, nasal, furious. "Mark Palmer! What on God's green earth do you think you're doing?" I turned. There she was. Karen Dwyer, in full battle uniform navy blazer, despite the heat, clipboard in hand, her blonde hair pulled so tight it could snap. Behind her, 2 board members in pastel shirts stood like backup singers. "I'm fencing in what's mine," I said. "You can't block access to the HOA headquarters," she barked. "According to county maps," I said, pulling a rolled blueprint from my back pocket, "this road cuts straight through my property. You've been trespassing for 2 years. Her face went red. "That's ridiculous. Those maps are outdated." "These were refiled last month," I replied, handing one of the helpers a post anchor. "Stamps fresh. County approved." The auger roared back to life. The earth shook as another spike drove in. Karen's tulip bed trembled under the vibration. She gasped like it was her child being buried. "You'll regret this, Mr. Palmer," she shouted. I leaned on the fence post, wiped the sweat from my neck, and said calmly, "No, Karen, you will." The crowd that had gathered by then whispered behind their sunglasses. Everyone in Cedar Creek knew Karen's reach. She ruled this place like a sheriff without a badge. But nobody had ever stood up to her. Until now. That night, I parked my truck facing the cabin, thermos of coffee on the dash, headlights off. The fence gleamed silver in the moonlight, half finished but proud. That's when a black SUV crept down the road, stopping behind me. A man stepped out, suit, tie, clipboard. "You Mark Palmer?" he asked. Who's asking? HOA enforcement liaison, he said, handing me a document. Cease and desist. You're in violation of obstruction code 4B. Before I could answer, the cabin door burst open. Travis stumbled out, holding a hammer. You can't take this place from me! My mom promised me! The agent froze, looked at him, then at me. A smirk crept up his face. Interesting. That was the moment Travis doomed his own claim. He said it clear as day. My mom promised me. Not the board, not a sale. A promise. I didn't say a word. I just rolled up the window, turned the key, and let the engine idle while the tension hung like thunderclouds over the lake. The next morning, the banging started. Not woodpeckers, not construction. Human fists. 3 HOA board members stood outside the fence, clipboards in hand, red-faced and sweating through their polo shirts. Mr. Palmer, one barked, you're in violation of Obstruction Ordinance 12B. That fence is on my land, I replied. Boundary confirmed by survey. Not anymore, another snapped. Karen redrew the lot lines during your absence. This cabin's officially Lot 42A, under Travis Dwyer. I laughed. You really think I'd fall for that? I unlocked the steel box welded to the post and pulled out a folder. Certified survey, notarized, county seal, dated 2 weeks ago. They went pale. One started flipping through his folder like he'd lost the last page of his script. The other muttered, We'll see you in court. Funny thing, I said. I already filed first. They left, slamming their truck doors, dust swirling behind them. I knew then this wasn't about property anymore. This was about power. That afternoon, I drove into town, met Rick at the diner. He was already at our usual booth, sweating lemonade through the straw. They forged your signature, he said flatly, sliding me a document. I stared at it. My name wrong loops, wrong tilt. She used an old notary stamp, Rick continued. Illegal as hell. If we prove this, she's done. I looked through the window at the highway stretching out toward the horizon, the Texas heat rippling in waves. Then let's prove it. That night, I went through every box my father left me. Receipts, photos, sketches, even the handwritten note from 1982 when he first bought the land. I scanned them all, printed copies, and slipped them into every neighbor's mailbox before dawn. The letter read, What would you do if your home was stolen while you were helping family? Next, it could be yours. Signed, Just a neighbor who remembers what this lake used to stand for. By noon, Cedar Creek was buzzing. People whispered in the grocery store, texted in church. For the first time, the power started shifting. Karen came storming out of the HOA office, hair wild, blazer wrinkled, shouting at anyone who'd listen. Lies, slander, none of it's true. But she looked scared. And fear looks real on people who've only ever played control. That evening, while I stacked firewood by the porch, someone stumbled out of the dark. Travis, the same kid who'd sat on my swing. He held a half-empty bottle, eyes glossy. I didn't know, he mumbled. She told me it was legal, said she could sign it over. I thought it was just paperwork. I handed him a glass of water. She lied to you. He looked up, shame flickering like the reflection of the lake lights in his eyes. If you really believed it was yours, I said quietly, you'd have brought your own furniture. He managed a weak laugh. Fair. For the first time, the silence between us didn't feel like war. It felt like the calm before the next storm. The night Travis showed up on my porch had left more dust than peace in the air. After he left, I sat there long after the crickets quieted, watching the moon slide over Cedar Creek like a silver coin across dark water. I could taste iron in my mouth, anger, grief, and a little bit of revenge. By morning, my phone buzzed before sunrise. Rick's voice came through tight. Mark, brace yourself. Karen filed a motion to condemn your fence. Condemn it? She's calling it a public hazard, claims it blocks emergency access to the HOA office. I laughed, no humor in it. It's a fence, not Fort Knox, Rick sighed. And she filed a restraining order against you too, says you threatened her with construction tools. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles cracked. She's getting desperate. Yeah, but desperate people are dangerous. When I hung up, I looked out at the fence. Black, proud, defiant, and felt that quiet tremor that tells a man the fight's about to turn bloody. By noon, Karen had posted laminated signs along the road. Notice of violation, red letters, her version of a declaration of war. I pulled one down, folded it, and stuck it in my pocket like a receipt for her arrogance. That night, when the wind off the lake turned cool, I went to bed late, boots still on. Sometime after midnight, a creak cut through the dark. Not the usual settling wood. A heavier sound footsteps inside my cabin. My hand found the old revolver in the drawer. I eased into the hallway, listening. The pantry door stood open. A lantern flickered on the floor, and carved into the pine wall, jagged and deep, were the words, "Get out or else." For a long minute, I just stared. The swing outside squeaked in the breeze like someone laughing. Whoever did this had walked through my father's kitchen, stepped over his boots still by the door, and cut those words into his wood. I didn't call 911. I drove straight into town, gravel spitting behind me. The sheriff's office light burned low. Sheriff Donnelly was half asleep at his desk. He looked up, eyes sharpening when he saw my face. "Mark, you look like hell." Someone broke in. He poured coffee into 2 paper cups. "Sit." I told him everything. Fence, forged, deed, threat. His brow furrowed deeper with each line. "You're not the first. 2 other property owners reported weird stuff. Mail stolen, sheds broken into, dogs let loose. All of them argued with Karen." "She's retaliating," I said. He rubbed his jaw. "Could be, but she's not dumb enough to do it herself." He reached into a drawer and slid something across the desk. A small flash drive, Sharpie labeled HOA Karen 2021. "Found it in Travis Dwyer's truck last night. DUI stop. Thought you might recognize the name. You open it?" He shook his head. "Can't without a warrant. You!" However, I slipped it into my pocket. "You didn't hand me anything," he smiled. "That's right." Back at the cabin, dawn crawled over the lake in streaks of peach and gold. I brewed coffee, powered up my old laptop, and plugged in the drive. The screen filled with folders. Receipts, transfers, invoices, each with dates stretching back 3 years. My pulse pounded as I clicked one open. HOA funds, tens of thousands paid to companies that didn't exist. Lakeview Legal Consultants, Sunridge Maintenance, Blue Canyon Land Care. The addresses led to empty lots and tanning salons 2 towns over. Fraud. Bold as daylight. I leaned back, staring at the glow of the monitor. The cabin was quiet except for the hum of the ceiling fan and my own heartbeat. Karen hadn't just stolen my cabin, she'd built a kingdom on everyone's dues. I could have gone straight to the sheriff, but evidence without eyes is just paper, so I decided to give it eyes. By Friday afternoon, I'd called for a neighborhood cookout. No permits, no permission. Just brisket, potato salad, and the truth. The smell of mesquite drifted over the lake. Old Joe manned the grill. Martha from Lot 12 brought deviled eggs. Half the town showed up, pretending it was just food. I waited until sunset before stepping onto a picnic bench, folder in hand. "Neighbors," I said, "you pay dues, right? You trust this HOA to fix the lights, mow the grass, keep the peace?" Heads nodded. "Well, here's where your money went." I held up copies of the documents, receipts, transfers, fake names. Murmurs spread through the crowd like wind through dry leaves. Karen stood near the office porch, face white, lipstick cracking. "That's fabricated," she shouted. "Then you won't mind if the sheriff verifies every account?" I said. Someone clapped. Then another. The crowd's mood shifted from fear to fury. Jeremy Collins, the quiet fisherman who never said a word, spoke up. "She fined me for having a boat trailer," Martha added. "She called animal control on my kid's dog." Voices rose. A storm of memory and anger. Karen backed toward the door. "You people don't understand," she yelled, but no one listened. She ran inside and slammed the door. That was the first crack in her wall. Later that night, I sat on the dock with my boots off, feet dangling above the black water. For the first time in months, the lake felt still. Then I smelled smoke. A faint, acrid whisper in the wind. I turned. Down shore, near the boathouse flames, orange tongues licking the sky. I sprinted, barefooted, shouting. Buckets, water, neighbors rushing with hoses. But by the time we got there, the roof collapsed, embers raining like fireflies. My boathouse, gone. One firefighter handed me something half-melted, the frame of my dad's photo, the one where he held me on his shoulders at this very dock. The picture inside was ash. Karen hadn't just threatened me. She'd erased a piece of me. The next morning smelled like wet smoke and rust. Charred beams floated near shore. I didn't cry. I called Rick. "She burned it," I said. He didn't ask who. He knew. "You ready to go full legal?" "I'm ready to end it." He promised to file the criminal complaint by noon. Then I called Travis. He picked up on the second ring, voice rough. "She burned my boathouse," I said. "You still want to make this right?" Silence. "Then meet me at the sheriff's station in 30 minutes. When I walked in, Travis was already there, eyes hollow. Donnelly switched on the recorder. "Tell him," I said. Travis swallowed hard. "Mom bragged she could use HOA funds for lakefront security. Said she knew people at the county office who'd rubber stamp anything. She promised me the cabin if I helped keep up appearances. I didn't know she forged deeds until I saw the fake checks." "She ever mention a fire?" Donnelly asked. Travis shook his head. "She said, make it hard for him to stay. That's all." Donnelly leaned back, eyes grim. "That's enough for a warrant." For the first time, Travis looked relieved and broken. "I just want to fix this." I nodded. "Then tell the truth." We both signed statements. Donnelly promised action. Outside, the Texas heat hit like a hammer. I walked to my truck, looked at the blackened horizon where my boathouse used to stand, and whispered, "You can burn my wood, Karen, but you can't burn my proof." 2 days later, I mailed every resident a USB copy of the files labeled Cedar Creek Truth. No note this time, just the facts. The lake community erupted. Emails flew. Group chats exploded. The HOA Facebook page locked comments by noon. And when Karen tried to hold a special meeting to restore order, only 2 people showed up, her and her lawyer. That night, headlights swept across my driveway again. For a second, I thought it was the sheriff, but when I stepped outside, there was no car, just a note pinned to the fence post. "Leave, or you're next." I smiled grimly. Guess I hit a nerve. I spent the rest of the night documenting every threat, every incident, photos, timestamps, backups, on 3 drives. Rick once told me, paper beats power. Now, I believed him. By dawn, I was ready for whatever came next. The sun rose blood red over Cedar Creek, and the water shimmered like it knew what was coming. The war wasn't over, but the battlefield had changed. I wasn't defending a fence anymore. I was defending history, and I had every intention of winning. The morning after the threat, Cedar Creek woke up different. The air felt heavy, like the lake itself was holding its breath. Neighbors who used to wave from their porches now lingered longer, whispering when they thought I couldn't hear. Truth spreads faster than gossip when it's printed on paper, and every mailbox in town held a piece of mine. By noon, my inbox was flooded. Messages from old couples, contractors, even board members who'd quit months ago. Most were short. "Didn't know she was doing this," or "We're with you, Mark." Some were angry. "She fined me for my grandson's swing set." Others were scared. What happens now? I didn't have answers yet, only a gut full of purpose and a folder thick with proof. That afternoon, I went to the diner. Rick sat in our usual booth, legal pad open, eyes bloodshot. "She's cornered," he said, sliding me a document. "Filed a countersuit. Defamation, trespassing, even cybercrime. Says you hacked HOA records." I laughed. If that's hacking, then checking your own mailbox is espionage. Rick didn't smile. She's trying to bury you in court filings until you quit. You won't quit, right? I shook my head. Not after what she burned. 3 nights later, I learned what real intimidation looked like. Came out to find both truck tires slashed and a dead squirrel nailed to my fence with a note, "Old dogs don't belong here." It was written in red marker that smelled too much like gasoline. I took photos, bagged the note, logged the time. Fear wanted in, but anger changed the locks. Sunday morning, I drove past the HOA building and noticed something strange. The small maintenance shed behind it, usually padlocked, stood wide open. Inside boxes stacked to the rafters, files spilling like confetti. I snapped photo after photo, reimbursement checks to ghost companies, invoices for emergency landscaping signed twice in Karen's hand. Then I saw one folder stamped Expansion Plan Phase 3. Inside were maps marked in red, future reassignments, more cabins, more families she planned to push out. Mine was only the first domino. I sent the photos to Rick and Sheriff Donnelly. Then I called Channel 7 News in Tyler. When the reporter asked for a quote, I said, "Just come see the lake. The truth floats on it." The segment aired that night. Karen's name blurred, her voice shrill, denying everything. But the receipts were real. And then, the unexpected Travis on camera, standing by my gate, saying, "My mom lied to me. She lied to everyone." You could almost hear the town exhale. Next morning, Cedar Creek Council called an emergency hearing. Before they could even set the date, retaliation hit harder. I came home to find my fence cut down, the metal tossed into the lake like bones. A hunting knife was pinned to my front door with a single sheet. "Back off. Last warning." I stared at it a long while, then I pulled the knife free and whispered, "You should have stopped at my fence." That night, I didn't sleep. I uploaded every photo, every scan, every voicemail to a cloud drive. Shared it with 3 people, Rick, Sheriff Donnelly, and Janet McBride, my late wife's best friend, now an investigative journalist. When she picked up the phone, her voice was half shock, half admiration. "Mark Palmer, haven't heard that name in 10 years. You really stirred up a hornet's nest. I'm not looking for fame, Janet. I just want my home back. Then you'll want to see what I'm sending." 5 minutes later, she called again, tone grave. "Mark, this isn't just local corruption. I traced 2 of those fake companies, both tied to a development firm out of Houston. They've been using small HOAs to seize lakefront land, cheap. Karen's their front." I gripped the phone so hard it squeaked. "You're saying she's part of a ring? She's a pawn, maybe a greedy one. But yeah, and if we don't move fast, they'll shred the evidence." That night she drove up from the city. We met under the busted neon sign at the old marina. Janet, short, gray hair, leather notebook, eyes like a hawk, sizing up prey. "I'll publish in 48 hours, she said, "but you need to watch your back. People like this don't lose quietly." I didn't need convincing. By dusk, I'd packed a duffel and moved into Old Joe's attic down the road. From there, I could see my cabin through binoculars and stream the security cameras on my phone. At 1:42 a.m., headlights crept up my driveway. 2 figures stepped out, hoods up, one carrying a crowbar, the other a gas can. Joe whispered, "They're gonna torch it." "Not tonight," I murmured. I'd already called Donnelly an hour earlier. Floodlights exploded across the yard. Sheriff cruisers barreled in, sirens screaming. Both suspects hit the dirt before the first warning shot. When Donnelly looked straight at my porch camera and gave a thumbs up, I finally breathed. One suspect was Karen's boyfriend. The other, a contractor listed on 4 fraudulent invoices. 2 birds, 1 trap. But the next morning, paranoia came slithering back. Inside the cabin, nothing was damaged, but something was missing. The knife. The same one that had been pinned to my door. The one I'd left on the counter. Gone. I checked every latch. Nothing forced. Then I remembered my father's old saying, "The smallest hole lets the biggest trouble through." Behind the closet in the back room, a few loose boards hid a crawl space. Inside, a folder wrapped in duct tape. Blueprints of 3 more properties, each stamped confiscate in red marker. And beneath them, a list of names, county clerks, accountants, even a retired judge with dollar amounts scribbled beside them. Karen hadn't acted alone. She'd built an empire of silence. I drove straight to Janet's motel. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the papers. "This is enough to blow it statewide," she whispered. "But you sure you're ready for that kind of storm?" I looked out the window at the lake, glowing under morning light. "I was born in Texas. Storms," I said. "Let it rain." She aired the report the next day. Cedar Creek HOA corruption ring exposed. It hit every network by sundown. Karen was arrested before dinner. Travis was granted immunity. Half the county board resigned overnight. But justice has a way of arriving with baggage. Because as the dust settled and neighbors started rebuilding fences of their own, a black SUV rolled into town, no plates anyone recognized. 2 men in suits stepped out, briefcases in hand. They walked straight to the old HOA office and pinned a sign to the door. Temporary management appointed by state receiver. Cedar Creek properties under review. The crowd gathered, whispering. Some hopeful, some uneasy. Me? I just stood back, arms folded, watching the lake shimmer like it was hiding another secret. We'd fought tooth and nail to bring one tyrant down, but I had the sinking feeling Texas wasn't done testing me yet. The black SUV parked at dawn, right where Karen's tulips used to grow. 2 men in suits stepped out, polished shoes sinking into the Texas dust. The taller one, clean-shaven, sharp-edged, carried a black briefcase that looked heavy enough to break bones. He walked straight to the old HOA office door, hammered a notice into the wood, then turned to face the small crowd gathering behind him. "My name is Mr. Holt," he said, voice crisp like a blade on glass. "I've been appointed by the state to oversee the dissolution and reorganization of the Cedar Creek Homeowners Association." Applause rippled weakly through the onlookers. But I didn't clap, because I knew that kind of man. The kind that talked about order while quietly rearranging power. By noon, Holt had turned the HOA office into a fortress. New locks, new computers, new faces. He claimed it was all part of the audit, but I'd seen enough cover-ups to smell one from miles away. That evening, I sat with Rick on my porch, watching the last bit of sun turn the lake copper. "They always bring in a state receiver after something big," Rick said, chewing on a toothpick. "Someone neutral," he added. I sipped my coffee. "Neutral my ass." "He looks like a hitman wearing paperwork," Rick smirked. "Maybe. Just don't poke the bear yet." But I already had the stick in hand. The next morning, Holt called a community meeting at the old church hall. Half the town showed up. He stood behind the podium like a preacher at a funeral. "There has been a breakdown of fiduciary trust," he began, voice flat and rehearsed. "Until further notice, all HOA operations are suspended. No construction, no dues collection, no property transfers without my direct authorization." People cheered. They thought this was freedom. "I saw the strings," he went on, tone colder now. "I will also be reviewing all property deeds, including those previously disputed." My stomach dropped. That meant my cabin, again. I raised my hand. Mark Palmer. My case was settled twice. County and court both confirmed ownership. Holt met my eyes, unblinking. "We're just verifying procedural integrity." "Integrity?" I repeated, almost laughing. That's what Karen said before she forged my signature. His expression didn't change. "Mr. Palmer, if you interfere with this audit, you'll be cited for obstruction." The room went silent. Every head turned toward me. I could feel their fear again, the same fear Karen had fed on for years. And right then, I knew. If Holt wasn't stopped, the lake would just trade one tyrant for another. That night, I called Janet. Her voice was tight. "I've been digging," she said. "Guess what?" Holt used to work for a development firm out of Dallas Golden Pine Investments. They specialize in buying distressed lakefront property, then flipping it into resorts. I felt my chest tighten. And now he's here to help us? Help you hand it over. More like it. I didn't wait for morning. I dug through public records, cross-referenced land titles, traced emails from Karen C's laptop, and there it was. A memo between Holt and Golden Pine. 6 figures wired for consultation services. He wasn't a savior. He was the cleanup crew. By sunrise, I was done playing defense. I called my old fence crew. Same men, same steel, same purpose. When they arrived, I handed the foreman a set of blueprints and said, "We're doing it again." He squinted. "Around your property?" "No," I said. "Around theirs." By noon, drills screamed, metal rang, and half the town gathered to watch as my new fence rose thicker, taller, wrapped clean around the HOA office like a steel coffin. Holt stormed out, face red as rust. "Mr. Palmer, this is illegal." I leaned on the gate, calm as a Sunday preacher. "Funny, you said the same thing about my last fence. How'd that work out for Karen?" "You're obstructing a state operation," he barked. I smiled. "This is private land, son. County deeds say the road and the soil beneath that building are mine." He pulled out his phone, muttering about calling the state attorney. I crossed my arms. "Go ahead, but while you're at it, tell him you're working for Golden Pine." That stopped him cold. For the first time, Holt looked unsure. Phones came out everywhere. Neighbors filming, reporters whispering. The whole town was watching, and Holt knew it. Within an hour, the story hit social media. Retired forester fences and state receiver. Cedar Creek saga continues. By evening, it was trending across Texas. Janet called me laughing. "You've officially out-fenced the government." But I wasn't done, because the truth needed more than fences. It needed air. That night, Janet aired the final piece, emails, payment receipts, a video interview with a Golden Pine whistleblower confirming Holt's involvement. By morning, the governor's office issued a public suspension. By 3 p.m., state police escorted Holt out of the Cedar Creek property past the same gate he'd tried to tear down. The crowd cheered. Kids waved flags. Old Joe handed me a Dr. Pepper and muttered, "Never thought I'd see a man fence in the state itself." For the first time in months, the lake felt alive again. Weeks passed. The HOA was dissolved permanently. Karen faced fraud charges. Holt vanished into bureaucracy. And I somehow was voted head of the new Cedar Creek Council, a group of volunteers who just wanted fairness and quiet back. We tore up the old fine system, turned the HOA office into a community library. The same steel posts that once marked battle lines now formed the garden fence around the youth center. But my cabin? I left it as it was. Smoke scars on the boards, knife mark in the pantry, reminders of what it costs to stand your ground. On the wall above my father's workbench, I hung a small sign that read, "Respect is the strongest boundary." One quiet Sunday, Travis stopped by. He looked older, worn down, but honest. He handed me an envelope. Inside, a note. For the tree I cut without asking. For the swing I used without knowing. For the silence I didn't break soon enough. Taped to it was a check for $1,000. I didn't cash it. I framed it instead. Some debts aren't about money. They're about seeing where the line is and finally respecting it. Now, when the wind moves across Cedar Creek, I can hear the fence hum softly, metal singing against the breeze. It doesn't sound like division anymore. It sounds like peace hard-earned. And sometimes, when I sit on the new swing, coffee in hand, I remember my father's words. A man's land isn't just dirt. It's his story written in roots. So, if you're watching this somewhere out there fighting your own version of a Karen, some petty tyrant hiding behind rules, remember, you can be kind without being weak. You can draw lines without drawing blood. And if anyone tries to erase your name, you build higher, wider, stronger, until the world can see what's yours. Because this was my home, my father's sweat, my battle. And no HOA, no paper tyrant, no state man in a black suit was ever going to take Texas from me again.